When Hamas terrorists were planning the October 7th massacre, the most important and most difficult part of their planning the operation was how to get through the fence, how to get to where Israelis were in order to slaughter and torture and kidnap them. When West Bank terrorists want to do what they can, they don't have to go through that. The West Bank is while there is a barrier that kind of protects Israelis from terrorists from the West Bank. That barrier is insignificant. It's not insignificant, but it's incomplete. It's far from complete, and Israel still treats the West Bank. This is the most important part, as if it is somehow a completely different story than Gaza. Gaza is where the threat is from. The West Bank, I think, in a sense, at least in practice, the way Israel treats it, uh, the Oslo Accords still apply to the West Bank, and the Oslo thinking still applies to the West Bank. The thinking that if we just are a bit nicer to the people who say that they are happy to die as long as they take all the Jews with them, they will change their mind. We can find a middle ground. Well, today, two Israelis were murdered in a terrorist attack that um, spanned something like 50 minutes. It started with somebody being run over and then continued with a stabbing. The terrorist is was injured and is presumably going to be treated in an Israeli hospital, then imprisoned until there is some sort of deal, whether it's for hostages or what have you, in which Israel will have to release him to release him and other murderers and would-be murderers in exchange for innocent civilians. Welcome to the Daily Objective. I'm Razi Ginsburg, joined by Daniel Kraus. Daniel, your thoughts on the situation with the West Bank?
Yeah, so just to point out, two people were run over. The 16-year-old boy and an old man. The old man ki was killed, and the boy, I believe, is hospitalized with light wounds. And then the terrorist was fleeing the scene, came into I'm not sure, came into a kibbutz, Ayn Harod, and stabbed a 19-year-old woman to death. So this again is not you cannot look at this as, murder happened or something happened. When it comes to, I mean, recently it became worse, but generally when violence or when crimes happen in Western countries or in relatively modern civilized countries, it's just something that happens. We have systems for it. Usually when murder happens, it's somebody from the family or somebody who knows the person. When a robbery happens, uh, it's something local. But with this one, these people weren't targeted because this terrorist knew them. These people weren't targeted because there was some disagreement that escalated. No, a terrorist, and again, we don't yet know the state of his mind. But this terrorist told themselves, I hate Jews, and I'm gonna take my car. And sort of running people over is a very popular thing to do when it comes to Palestinian terrorism. So he decided that's what I'll do. And stabbings are very much on par with that. So again, it's somebody who did that. And when he had a chance to flee, he used that chance to flee to go and stab another person to take with him, and not even take with him because he actually managed to survive. So that's why this cannot be looked at as, just some general story. This is an ideological issue that has to be solved. The fact is that Palestinians at large do want violence against Jews. This is even coming from Poles. They want a violent resistance to the Israeli existence, not some weird occupation that people have in mind. No, it's a resistance to the existence of the state of Israel. The only way to stop that is to completely wipe out that ideology. It doesn't mean, killing every single person, but it means identifying, saying that Palestinians, as they are right now, are a problem and setting up some future of solving it. If we had some future plan in mind, we could comment on that specific thing. But the fact is, we don't. The policy of the state of Israel right now is status quo no matter what. It's slow expansion of the settlements, maybe slowly getting rid of the Palestinian Authority or the authority of the Palestinian Authority, which it doesn't really have that much. It's pretty much all under Israeli control anyway, but only de facto. It's not de jure all of Israel. If Israel at least said, okay, from in the next 5-10 years we are annexing all of this and we are reorganizing this whole system, be it the whatever the 12-state solution where you set up bunch of different small Palestinian states that are easier to take control, or annex all of it and put all of Palestinians under military occupation for some time. But it has to be something like that. We cannot deal with this if we don't call out what's happening and if we do not have any plan for what to actually do, which Israel doesn't seem to have. There is no real plan.
Yeah, and I, as viewers of this channel know, am against the idea of occupation long term because while that is that's an improvement compared to this, the improvement is soldiers will die instead of civilians, which is it's not what I would like to see. And yeah, just like Gaza, ultimately Israel has to decide should Israel be there or should the Palestinians be there. So long-term deportation is the only way for Israel to live in peace and security. For again in the long run. We might talk a little bit about deportation if we have time because there's some development there. Thank you, PC, for the super chat. PC says, Razi, Daniel, happy Christmas. Are you surprised this is the religion of Palestine? I'm not surprised, of course, but I am very much objecting to Israel's approach. And Israel's approach can be summed up in Netanyahu's response to this, where he said, we stop many, many terrorist attacks. Unfortunately, we don't stop all of them. And, I hear that and I'm reminded of Keir Starmer's response to the terrorist attack in Manchester, where he said, we're going to send police assets to protect the Jewish community, which means we're going to accept people planning these attacks, people attempting to carry them out. We're just going to try to stop them right before they happen. And you can stop them from ever being attempted if you go into the people, if you start believing that people mean what they say, believing that Muslims really want to kill Jews, believing that pro-Palestinian non-Muslims really want to globalize the Intifada. Look into them and see how many of them aren't just going on a nice Saturday afternoon to block the roads, chant some rhyming slogans, and wave some flags. Some, I'm sure, are just doing that, and they are scum. But they have the legal right to do that. I would like to see the legal right to block the roads being a thing of the past, but that's a story for another day. But yeah, they can express that view, but if they express that view, maybe they also practice it. Yeah, Netanyahu is saying we stop them if you went, first of all, even if you don't deport people from the West Bank yet, if there is a serious military operation there, you can at least actually prevent them, not right about when they're about to happen. And as we can see, you can't always do that. Somebody in the chat says, Razi, can you explain the dynamic of the settler movement in Israel so we can understand better and how Europeans should look at incidents like this one? So first of all, let me clarify when uh, in official channels, when the UN or countries maybe other than the US talk about settlers, they refer to Jews, Israeli Jews living in Judea and Samaria on the west bank of the Jordan River, areas that are supposedly, occupied, officially called occupied, and are supposedly going to be the future Palestinian state. This did not happen there. This happened in, not that that matters, but this happened not in a settlement. This happened in what uh, people who think there should be a two-state solution would count as Israel when that two-state solution happens. So how Europeans should think. Europeans should start thinking and start thinking about what they're saying when they say that the problem, the obstacle to peace in the Middle East isn't that Arabs want to murder Jews. It's that Jews live in some places that Arabs don't want them because, again, the Arabs who want to murder Jews don't want Jews to live anywhere. Certainly not anywhere in Israel, but absolutely, yeah, elsewhere as well. Like that's what globalized the Intifada means, and they very much support it. They are localizing the Intifada, but yeah, we saw Intifada today, and yeah, what Europeans should think is who shares our values, who would we like to see the world look more like a country like Israel or savages like the Palestinians.
Yeah, and a little bit more about this specific situation. So, apparently, the IDF said that the man who came to Israel, the terrorist, came to Israel illegally several days ago. He was illegally employed in Israel, according to Hebrew media, and had used his employer's vehicle in the attack. So, here we have, I mean, another example of how any cooperation between Israel or any cooperation that Israel allows between Israelis and Palestinians is always used to exploit Israel. The fact that, before the first Intifada, Palestinians were free to travel anywhere. They were pretty much, they weren't citizens, but they were sort of like full-on residents. They were able to work anywhere, do pretty much anything, even travel freely between Jordan and Israel. And what was that used again? They said, not good enough, and started committing terrorist attacks. When we talk about big industry that is in the occupied regions that mainly employ Palestinians, what usually happens is that the foreign NGOs say, no, 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 boycott these, don't do this, which usually means Palestinians lose their jobs and lose their Israeli jobs, lose their jobs they have in Israeli business. So increasingly, like everybody talks about cooperation between Israel and Palestinians, but everybody actively uses it to fight against the state of Israel. Like when there is businesses that are done together, those should be boycotted. When Palestinians go and work, either from Gaza or from West Bank, go and work into Israel, many of them use it to, map the areas for Hamas or basically try to work against Israel. Not to mention even the money that is earned, right? If it goes back into Gaza or if it goes back into West Bank, oftentimes it's used for terrorism. So again, I want to see, like, I don't want like violence to happen. I don't want war to happen, but that's what Palestinians want. You cannot like war is not something that both sides have to agree. War is something that one side starts and the other one has to respond. And Israel response has been one of ignorance or one of belief that if we just say we don't want war, it won't happen. But the fact is, that's what Palestinians want. You can't deny them their self-determination in that way, because war is usually not something that requires consent.
Yeah, and you know that's so. Let's go back to the point you made about mapping. The Gazans who had work permits mapped out specifically the kibbutzim where left-wing Israelis, who really believed that the obstacle to peace is Israel. That if Israel was only a bit nicer to the terrorists, they would stop wanting to kill us more than they want to live. And yeah, so after October 7th, no more Gazans coming into work, but that didn't apply to the West Bank. And the results, unfortunately, are seen, and unfortunately, nothing is being done about that. Yeah, you don't want war. What you do is not ask the people who start wars to find a middle ground between peace and war. What you do is you win the war, and that's how you get peace. Thank you, PC, for the super chat. PC says, Sir Keir Stalin is his name. LOL. You know I disagree with you on that. I despise Keir Starmer, uh, but he is absolutely not Stalin. He's not a communist. He's not an ideologue of any sorts. He's a I want to be the prime minister kind of person, which means he can shift his views based on the latest polls, which he does. You know, his anti-immigration policies right now are completely based on the polls and not anything he believes, uh, because he doesn't. It's very difficult to see if he believes anything. Um, Thank you, Jonathan Honig, for the very generous $50 super chat. Jonathan says, Happy birthday, Rozzy, and congrats to you and Daniel on a successful year. And thanks to our passionate and growing audience. Absolutely. Thanks, Jonathan, for everything you do to help ARCUK grow. Jonathan Honig was the first speaker at the Irreplaceable Spark Conference, the first Irreplaceable Spark Conference ever. And you can see that talk and all the other talks. Great time during the Christmas season to become an inner circle member of our YouTube channel, and watch those talks and get access to many additional perks. Thank you, PC, for the super chat. PC says, Is it your birthday? Well, happy birthday, Rozzy. It is. Thank you. And thank you, Bonnie, for the super chat. And um, thank you, Enric, for the super chat. Enric says, Congratulations, Rozzy, on your successful ARCUK and day of birth. Thanks, Daniel.
Um, I mean, what else can we bring up? The fact is, and this is the worst part when it comes to like dealing with every issue. I mean, I've recently encountered, when it comes to objectivism, some people I think struggle to understand the purpose of principles and what it means, because generally when you are principled, or when try to be honest, try to be proper, you don't necessarily see the fruits of your labor in like the day of or the day after. When you're like honest, you don't lie, you work properly, you understand the meaning of your life, you understand what you should focus on, you usually see like the results of it years later. And now because I've been into objectivism for, I mean, what is it going to be, like 6 years? Now I'm starting to like see some of the things like, oh, 4 years ago I was like properly in the proper state of mind, properly like going through things, and I'm seeing like fruits of that. And this is the biggest problem when it comes to like dealing with things right now, because now we have this like terrorist issue, and it feels like, okay, now we have to solve this one thing. But no, this is a result of unprincipled thinking going on, some cases months, some cases years, and some cases decades, when it comes to the Oslo Accords, for example. The fact is, Israel has been unprincipled and had improper policy for so long that there are no more sort of like easy solutions. I think deportation might happen, but it's not an easy solution. Both like uh, to, to like do it both internally, like Israel is wanting to do it, externally, like the other states having problem with it. But this is what got you there. If Oslo Accords didn't happen, if First Intifada was dealt with properly, we wouldn't have this problem right now. So I think this is another reminder of the why principles are needed. Why, I've recently seen somebody saying like, were the two nukes on Japan, like, was that necessary? Was one enough? Wouldn't be able to get away? But the fact is, we are not being put in the we are not the one who put ourselves in the position to have to drop two nukes. Somebody put us in this position. Palestinians are putting us in this position where there is no other solution but deportation, or most likely there might be, but I don't see. I mean, I still think occupation might work. I just don't believe Israel will be able to uphold it for so long, especially with the way Gaza has felt. So uh, again, reminder that principles are not something that we just do because it's some sort of moral duty that we got from Kant or something. Uh, Principles are principles because they work, because you need those concepts to think long term, because if you are a human, you cannot think one day to next day. You have to think in the span of decades or your lifetime, and the only way to do it properly are principles, which you see the results of 5 years later. And oftentimes, once you see the results of either acting on principles or inaction of principles, it's usually too late to reverse that specific thing that has happened to you.
Thank you, Gail, for the super chat. Gail says, "Happy birthday, Razi." Thank you. People, trolls in the chat, we don't remove comments. We, on rare occasions, remove trolls completely when, we feel like it. But no, we don't remove comments. But well done for playing the victim. You support the Palestinians, so you might as well also uh, practice what you preach. Somebody in the chat mentioned Somaliland, which was going to be a point that I was going to make. So yeah, Netanyahu, I saw this in some critical news story about him where his first comment after the terrorist attack wasn't about the terrorist attack. It was Israel recognizing Somaliland. I have to say, I have to Google Somaliland. I know barely, really nothing about them. It's apparently, there are no other countries that currently recognize Somaliland other than Israel. And the reason this matters is because, at least according to what I read, this is potentially a place where Palestinians will be sent. Now, again, without knowing anything about Somaliland, I feel bad for them, but yeah, I don't know how they will deal with it. But absolutely, yeah, Israel needs to find a place and then needs to send Palestinians there. And yeah, from Gaza, it's kind of easier. It's really, really doable. Even geopolitically with all that, which is not the priority for Israel to make friends, which it can't anyway, because yeah, countries and their leaders hate Israel. But the thing is, for the time being, as long as Trump is in office and as long as he's mostly not anti-Israel, and as long as Israel manages to keep conditions in Gaza miserable, that's an important thing. Remember, the people who started when we talk about World War II, an important point to remind people was the reason World War II was the last war won decisively was because there was an understanding among the Allies that you don't just win a war just by eliminating the current military capabilities of the other side to attack you. You defeat their will to fight you, to launch wars against you. And that's what was done. And that, by the way, is why, of course, there should have been a second nuke on Japan, because there was one. And then days passed and they didn't surrender unconditionally. And that's all there is to it. You surrender unconditionally, the war's over. So, yeah, that's my point on that. Thank you, Apollo Zeus, for the super chat. Apollo Zeus says, "Happy birthday, Razi." Thank you for that, Daniel.
So Clementine is saying, I would be shocked if Israel actually deported anyone. I mean, Israel, not really, but is allowing people to live, which should be the bare minimum of like allowing people to live. The problem is, most countries don't want to accept them. Like South Africa, I think they like there were the two flights, and I think that they want to get rid of them now. Um, so yeah, I mean, when it comes to Somaliland, I mean, I looked into it because I saw the story. I looked into it. It's an interesting thing because apparently, because of international law, so the way Somaliland happened is Somaliland used to be a British protectorate. The rest of Somalia used to be under Italy, and then was sort of, when decolonization happened, both of them separated, and they united because Somaliland said, let's unite with them. Then the Somaliland like major families started being oppressed. So they wanted to get out of that. There was a war, and now, in all terms, it's a separate state. It's absolutely like a separate thing. But according to international law, you cannot have a region secede without the consent of the government that it's part of. So unless Somalia agrees to Somaliland secession, international law dictates that you shouldn't recognize it, which this is what Israel is going against. Be this uh, be this like if this is like a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, if this is like a place that we could send Palestinians to, I'd say good enough. I mean, I generally don't really consider that I don't generally have like a strong point of view of especially like this seceded region, especially when a lot of these governments are not even rights respecting. But yeah, if I'm not sure if Israel recognizes, for example, the Western Sahara like as part of Morocco. But if we can do that and send some Palestinians there, if Israel can just recognize a bunch of things and then like say, recognize. I don't think Israel recognizes Taiwan, right? Recognize Taiwan, send some people there. Recognize Catalonia, send some people there.
Catalonia,
Recognize
yes. Taiwan has enough problems without a bunch of Palestinians.
maybe like 10,000. They can deal with that.
Uh, that is a lot. No, no. I'm pro Taiwan. I don't want them going through that. Thank you, PC, for the super chat. PC says, Razi, it has a president, a government, so it's a country. I'd never heard of it. It's in the Horn of Africa near Somalia. Sunni Islam is its religion. Yeah, sounds like a lovely place. I'm not sure I would want to visit, but I would want to visit Gaza, and at the moment, I'm not going to. And if the people there just make their way elsewhere, and again, every time we talk about deportation, I have to remind people like, in my ideal scenario, nobody gets deported at the moment because there has not been unconditional surrender. So the war has to continue until nothing is left of Hamas. No weapons. The weapons are given up. Of course, the body of Ran Gviri has to be returned. But yeah, the Palestinians. This is a reward for them, deportation, and they don't deserve it at the moment. To earn it, they would have to surrender unconditionally. Now, unfortunately, I know the way things go, and I know that Israel is likely to allow some sort of de facto Palestinian state in Gaza to be created. It's not going to be officially, uh, certainly not recognized by Israel, but neither was the Hamas state that existed there until now. So, yeah, this is. If this is what the Somaliland deal is, yeah, I'll take it. Parting thoughts?
Um, not much else to say. I mean, I, again, the worst part of the whole Israel-Palestinian conflict is that Palestinians have a vision for the future, and it's the destruction of the Israeli state. Israelis don't have a vision for the future. It's return to the status quo as soon as possible. When terrorist attack happens, let's return to back the things were as soon as possible. Um, when it comes to Gaza, it seems like the status quo is just gonna be, as of right now, might just be Israel occupies a little bit of Gaza until they eventually pull out. So have a plan, and then we can, talk about if the plan is bad or good. But that's the most disappointing part about that right now, because like even if I defend Israel, it's like I'm not even defending anything specific because I don't know what Israeli plan are. It seems to be slow expansion of the settlements, which again is good. Generally, if you want to protect the land, you need to have people there. So yeah, allow Israelis back into Gaza. And yeah, that's the only way I see towards the future is to actually, have people there. So there is something to protect.
Well, we'll know much more Monday when Netanyahu meets Trump in Mar-a-Lago. I never know what to expect from those meetings. I don't think Netanyahu does. But we will, of course, cover it either way. Netanyahu, while you're there, it's right before New Year's. You can go celebrate New Year's Eve, watch the ball drop in Times Square. And January 1st, Zoran Mamdani is sworn in, right? So, yeah, let's test him on it. Netanyahu did say in an interview that I saw with Sky News Australia, I think that was the interview where he said he will go to New York City when Mamdani is mayor. So let's see what happens. On the reality show, we will see what is happening with Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle, of course, people are hating Jews, so why not join in on the party? We're going to talk about that on the reality show, which starts in a couple of minutes. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you on the reality show.